Cobbler's Boss. You must be delighted.
Yeah, very much so. Again, I think the pleasing thing is we were able to introduce some more players to get the game time under myself and Colin, and I think that's always pleasing. We're putting principles in place and platforms for us to build on, and the more important thing is the more members of the squad that we can get and an understanding of the minimum requirements when they're asked to perform, the better it is. So it's pleasing again to get some lads to get some first starts under myself, and some of the other lads to get some pitch time, and again winning games is that's what the platform is there for us to build off of.
Yeah, and a terrific turnaround. You were a goal down at half time, completely turned around in the second half.
Well, again, I thought in the first half, some of our principles and the foundations, where they weren't what's the word I'm looking for now? It wasn't, rather than playing the ball into a good area, we were waiting to see if somebody was running into that area first of all, and then it's a knock on. Then it becomes two negatives. It's one of those, and we need to instill that discipline in the players. We know where the right ball is to put that we want played, and we know the area that we want to play. Then the more people we get on board, the more people we get, the more understanding you get within the dynamics of what we're trying to create. Then more people get on the same page. So the worst thing that happens, we put the ball into a good area if somebody doesn't run. Then my job then is to get somebody that will run into those areas on a consistent basis. And then, but again, second half I thought it clicked. It became a second nature. Ball was landing. We knew where we were going. We got people on the front foot, and we were facing their goal. And we played the game more predominantly in their half. A little bit. They had a deflection that went in the first half. We had a deflection that hit the post. In the second half, there was another deflection that they hit the post. And we had two good goals. I've got to say, Kevin Van Veen, probably the only player on that pitch that would score that type of goal.
Yeah.
And Aaron Pierre's touch inside the box. You've got to say something that's very pleasing on the eye and a good finish.
Yeah, Kevin Van Veen, he talked earlier this season about getting 20 goals this season. He promised us 20 goals this season. Is that the spark, do you think, to really get him firing now and scoring goals on a regular basis?
Again, Kevin's a complex character. He's a complex character that's got ability, and again, part of my job is forming a relationship with Kevin whereby I appreciate and respect what he can offer me, but then likewise then he's got to respect my position and respect the fact that I am going to put demands on him, and then it's a case of can he enjoy having that demands put on him, because I won't ask him to do anything that I know that he can't do. So I'm not going to go and ask him to play centre back or in goal. But there's elements of his game that I think I can improve. And again, building a relationship not just with Kevin, but with all the players, so they all get that understanding and that honesty that. If I speak to somebody in a slightly raised tone, it's not personal, it's professional, and it's a demand. And what you find is players that can accept demands and challenges for their improvement will go higher and further in their careers.
Can you just elucidate a little bit more about when you say he's a complex character, Kevin Van Veen? Can you explain a bit more about that? What do you mean by that? Or is that very much for the behind the walls ability? I don't want to pry into your private tuition of Kevin Van Veen, but he's clearly a player that is quite deep and quite, as you say, complex.
Well, when I say he's not the normal, which reacts slightly differently to individual situations, which again I've got respect for. I walk into a change room and there's automatically, including the staff, there's probably 32, 33 personalities, and I've got to be able to adjust to those personalities. But bearing in mind, I've got my own personality as well. All the players and the staff members, they've got to adjust to as well. And again, so it's done with honesty and done with respect is how I start a relationship off. And that's where we're at the minute with Kevin. There's more to come from Kevin Van Veen, and again, there's a lot more to come from a lot of players in there. They're getting the understanding, they're coming to grips, and again, it's always easier to learn when you get praised. Now today the players have been praised, but for the simple things that they did well.
And a nice platform, as you say, for that big league game against Forest Green Rovers on Saturday at Sixfields. Yeah,
and again, winning a game doesn't mean the platform's in place. We're still putting platforms and pillars and a framework in place to build and to earn the right to play entertaining, free-flowing, attacking football.
A word about the fans. You mentioned them in very praiseworthy terms for their efforts at Swindon on Saturday. Not so many here tonight, but they made a noise, didn't they?
Yeah, definitely. And again, sometimes it's not about the numbers, but it's about the support and the value that us as a footballing department put on that support. And again, when the players at the end of the game they've gone over, it doesn't matter if there's 20, 2,000, 200, we will show our respect not only to the supporters but also when the players put on the shirt. There's demands put on them that make sure that it's worthy of the support that we get.
And the only downside, I suppose, tonight was the sending off of John Joe O'Toole late on. I'm sure you're disappointed that he got sent off for kicking the ball away, basically.
Yeah, well, I don't think it was for kicking the ball away. I think they spoke to the fourth official and he said it was for a trip.
Right.
Or a flick. I think he caught the lad on the ankle, and I said, very harsh. He probably just cost the lad 50% of a week's wages for being sent off. And you think, for a little nick or a tip, it's harsh.
Yeah, but nonetheless, a great win tonight. I'm sure the message to the fans is to get behind a team on Saturday and try and end Forest Green Rovers' unbeaten start to the league season. Yeah,
I think the important thing is we want the supporters to be part of the foundation, because without them, a football club doesn't survive. So again, it's trying to get them inclusive and included, and them understanding where we're at on the journey that we want to go on. And more people get involved in the wave, the longer you can ride it.
Just a final one about injuries and so forth. Danny Powell went off tonight with an injury. He seemed to do pretty well tonight for you. What's the news on him? Is he going to be available for Saturday? Is it too early to say?
Yeah, too early to say. Again, the medical team, they pack him with ice and everything gets assessed within 24, 48 hours. So again, we don't make these judgments or statements about players until they've assessed them. And again, I think going forward, I think medical questions, I'll make sure that you get access to Nacho. So again, you're better off speaking to them about injuries and length and how long they think they're going to be out. And you probably get, I don't understand, I'm Spanish.
Actually, forgive me for asking this, but there was no Taylor and no Barnett again tonight. Presumably they're still sidelined. Is it possible to say whether they might be available for Saturday? What's the situation with them?
Again, you'll know as soon as I do. As soon as I speak to Nacho, I'll be the phone call tomorrow morning. It'll be now. I'll speak to Nacho, and then I get an update on a Thursday morning for their availability. And again, it's more things that we're trying to put in place at the football club, and it's not just myself knowing. We have an internal, so the owners, the CEOs, the secretary. Everybody knows what is going on, because myself and Colin, we like to work with transparency. We want everybody to know, but we want them to know the things that we want people to know. Yeah. Not everything.
And finally, week into the job.
I did tell you, didn't I? You know when I don't know answer a question, I will give you the longest answer.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
No, I try and take you somewhere where you don't want to go.
Well, I do try and bring it back to the Jermaine point, and the final win is about, you've been in the job now for a week. It's been a terrific start, 2 good draws and a win, a real whirlwind start. But you must be pleased at the fact you've had the chance to assess so many of your players so quickly and see them in different positions as well. Yeah,
and again, I think we're still learning about each other. We've got a change room there that's still learning about myself and Colin. Now we've added another dynamic into the group with Dan Watson, and again, it's not an easy place, a change room with the amount of changes that are going on. But again, what we've tried to do is simplify the roles and responsibilities and the demands that we put on the players. And again, once we get the basics in place, then we can go to, in my term, coaching-wise, then we can go to the next level. Then we can be a little bit more intricate. But first and foremost, we're putting building blocks in place for a foundation that gets us where we want to go.
Actually, just